Greetings, Exiles and Foodies. A few days ago I made a poll on YouTube asking my community what they wanted to see for a Path of Exile 3.25 League Starter build guide, and the result ended up being a Cyclone physical based build, even over the new and hopefully big meta slam builds. So without further ado, let's get quickly into it without wasting too much time. I am going to quickly put out a warning also, because I'm not a top-end build creator. I can make things work for myself, but I'm probably not the best at making a build guide directly to follow. So see this tree and this base tree as a base that you can branch out to and branch out from. I'm not gonna go and say this is the perfect Cyclone build ever, because I know it's not. I know there are some amazing people out there who do a great job at making builds, but this should give you a extremely solid base to build from and a very good guide to just branch out from. To a start, I've made some level 15, 32, 45, 60, 75 and 88 level according to PUB. And the level 88, the thing about this end tree right here is basically it's very close to all the nodes out here, for regardless if you want to go with staves, if you want to go with maces, axes or sword, you're right next to them, so you don't have to branch 10 different ways. Now, what can this build do and what can it not do? It cannot do hardcore, period. I didn't plan for this to be a hardcore build, and that can be seen in the skills in just a minute. I'll go over the tree real quick here from the start till end here, but it cannot do hardcore. It's meant to be a softcore Cyclone build, and this base alone should be able to scale you from the early game until the late game, especially with the new buffs coming to Cyclone this patch and all the melee weapons too. For the items, before I go over the actual steps right here, the items here I'm just put in is something like a astral plate. You want to go in and get a base armor. You don't need the armor evasion, you could opt for it, but my suggestion is going for pure armor base. I've tossed in a few uniques that you could go for, but really nothing is mandatory. This build can work completely fine with only rare items, so it can function in a solo self-found environment too. It will be better, of course, in trading environment, no doubt about it, but this can work in a solo self-found environment. I would always go with a elemental flask, a quicksilver and a silver. Maybe this elemental flask I would swap out for something else, but it can help alleviate some of the elemental resistances if you go for a bunch of uniques in a trade environment. However, nothing is required. You can function this perfectly on full rares. Now, for the build, World Slayer from the duelist. So, what would I pick up first? I would pick up Brutal Feather, move on to Impact, get Bane of Legends, and then Headsman. That's the order I would go for. Maybe I would swap Brutal Feather and Impact, I'm not sure, but basically going for Brutal Feather is a guaranteed solid choice. Now, for a start, I would go down, grab Master of the Arena. It will give you some fist, some strike range, strength and regen. Then I would get the Destroyer, move on to the Spirit of War. That gives you 0.5% physical damage lead test mana, and then get the mana regen per 5 seconds. This will basically eliminate all mana problems you will have throughout the campaign. Then moving on to the Unwavering Stance, Martial Experience. This alone just boosts you the physical damage that you deal, and it helps you with a bit of life leech. Now we're pretty much set. You cannot get stunned, you cannot run out of mana, and you're still leeching life while regaining life. This is perfect for a start setup. Moving on to level 32, we will start by rushing the Eagle Eye and the Accuracy Mastery. This alone will help you just being able to hit everything, and you don't need to run precision right from the get-go. Then I would move over to get the Art of the Gladiator, get down to bring marksmanship, get some impale masteries over here, especially with the chance to impale. Then for the 45, we're going down here. We have this Bastion of Breaker, which basically hits have chance to ignore enemy physical reduction. This is very, very big for your damage. And also Golden Blood for some life. We get some more impale nodes and the Wrecking Ball. And then you just move on gradually and picking up everything. For the level 60, there's a little thing you have to keep in mind. Whenever you pick up the instant leech from the leech mastery down here, you want to respec this mana per 5 into mana reservation efficiency. That's an important note, because with the instant leech, you should never have to worry about your mana problems ever again. Then we pick up some more life nodes, we pick up some rage nodes, some impale nodes over here, and moving on with more life and everything. Only to finish it off with a ton of crit nodes and some more masteries. I picked up armor mastery right here with the reduced damage taken from crits, and the same goes from here, reduced damage taken from crits. These two alone should basically eliminate critical strike damage on you, and that really prevents you from getting one hit in many cases. So that's built for like the tree up here. Then for these skills, I've made an aura setup right here, and I'd always start with Herald Purity and Determination to really just boost up my defense and my damage. Next to that, make sure you're always resistance capped, so 1355, that's very bad to have. Always make sure this is capped and get as high chaos as humanly possible. Make sure your armor pieces have life also, that's a great way to survive. But Determination, Herald of Purity, and then get your precision as high as possible. Next to that, whenever you start to get better gear and you get everything up, Open and Enlighten, get Pride, and then as you progress, get something like Blood and Sand, and that's gonna require you to have Enlighten 4 and mana reservation efficiency of places than just your on the tree. You need to have it on your amulet or anything like that. So that's for the end game basically. But yeah, back again here without these. Sorry. There we go. So for the abilities, Cyclone, Pulverize, Brutality, Infused Channeling, Meaty Fist, and Shockwave. Of course, you can upgrade these to the Awakened version, which should really help out a ton with the damage overall. For leveling, you can't get Cyclone before level 28. For this, I got you covered. Leveling gems, go for level 1 to 12. I would suggest, if you can get your hands on the gem setup, a green, red for Spectral Throw Volley main, and otherwise from level 20 onwards, a free red with Thunder, Ruthless, and main. This is your go-to for the leveling until you can equip Cyclone. At 28, you can just equip Cyclone. I have in the utility, I have Molten Shell, Automation, Enduring Cry, Berserk. I might swap Berserk out for the Blood Rage instead now, because it's a DPS increase. If it's worthy for the DPS increase, I don't know anymore over the Frenzy Charge generation, but that's a thing I'm going to experiment with. Movement, maim, leap slam, fast attack, life tap. Very simple, straightforward. For the curse marks, assassin mark, mark on hit, and vulnerability. Straightforward. I'm just gonna curse vulnerability myself. And since we're playing softcore, cast and death portal, of course. Just have it. It's gonna save you some time in the end. Trust me, because everybody dies. Everybody does. But as mentioned, make sure you check out the items that you can get over here. That's just examples of what you could get on the trade, but none of this is mandatory. Basically anything can go, and just make sure that your resistance cap, your rares have a ton of life, and then you can slowly start to upgrade your build. And yeah, that's about it. So remember, this is a base. It's not, I'm not gonna say you need to go strictly for this. Please do what works for you. When you level up and if you suddenly feel like, I need mana before I need life, well, go pick up Spirit of War Mana Mastery before you go and pick up the Master Arena. And other than that, well, pick up the Martial Experience. If you feel like you just need damage, just go for this, and the Destroyer before you go for the mana. And that's the kind of way you need to look at this build. It's a base that I hope that I can provide for everybody, and it's a base that you can work out from. For annoyance, I would go in and get something like Disciple of Unyielding, most likely down here. Because of the way your endurance charges work now, this is going to be crazy strong. So yeah, this would really be a great pickup. And yeah, that's it for the build. I hope that you enjoyed this build guide, a little rundown of it. And if you did, make sure to sub and leave a like. Catch me on Twitch or YouTube here at the live Path of Exile League launch. See you then. Stay sane, Exiles.